So I told you about the stats about children of single moms, and they are horrible. They're just awful, right? Everything from mass murderers to molestation, everything, right? Just the worst of the possible worst that there could possibly be in the human experience, right? Well, the next step is children of divorced parents. Mind you, they don't have anywhere near the horrible stats that the children of single mom have. What they do have is they just recently came out and said that children of divorced parents are very high up on the suicide, very high up on a lot of internal things. Going crazy is just the general terminology, but they were very specific about, neurological happenings going on, stuff to go with your nervous system, stuff to go with your brain, and it was because of divorce. I don't believe in divorce. And I know there's some people who stick it out just for the children. Now, I don't believe in divorce at all, but I give those people a pass. And I don't mean, I hope you don't just cut it off at 18, because at 18 is still a very precarious age for any adult, right? Because they still don't have the tools. It's like if somebody apprenticed for 6 years under a master carpenter, and on the 6th year, he got his title of carpenter, and that very same day, the master carpenter kicks him out and says, okay, go start your own business. You haven't been paying me for 6 years. I don't have anything to build my company on. I have nothing. I have the skill, but that's about it. I have the know-how, but that's about it. I don't have everything that goes along with it. And I've talked about this before. A lot of parents have a very messed up perception. They think that the world is 50 years ago. 50 years ago, you could go buy a house for $5,000. 60 years ago, you could go buy a house for $5,000. Think about that for a second. You could go buy a full brand new car for a few $1,000s. 50 years ago. They think the world is sealed, and they don't understand. And they are where they are now, right? The parents. They don't understand. They can't even think of what it must be like to be 18 and just starting out today. So the parents that get divorced, I would say, if you're going to stick it out for the children, stick it out until they're like 22 and they've got something going on the ball. Okay. There's no like danger of them coming back into the home and having to live and rely on somebody else to keep them, because this economy is a big bastard, huh? Right? I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, or whatever. This economy is messed up. Yes, it's the government's fault, but you need to deal with the here and now. The here and now is an 18-year-old has nothing going for him or her at 18 today. They're just starting out their adult, quote unquote, life. Although you can't even drink until you're 21. And yes, drinking in the United States is a very big part of socializing with others. And I have no idea why they settled on 21. It's an arbitrary number to begin with. Nothing happens at 21 that doesn't happen at 16 or 18, for that matter. If they can go off to war, sign themselves off to war and die, 18 should be the cutoff point for everything. Anything considered adult, it should be 18. At 18, though, you have nothing. It's even an arbitrary number to say you're an adult. How many 18-year-olds do you know? And how are they different from a 16-year-old? So saying that you're going to wait till the kids are grown, if that number is 18, I want to tell you, stick it out just for a couple more years, and then you could still have suicides at 18. You could still have suicides at 22, but the number drops down very low, especially at 22. You've gone through 4 years of being an adult, of doing stuff on your own, and now your parents are really, theoretically, distant from you. You're no longer right up in the clutches of mom and dad. So you've experienced something. The likelihood of your mom and dad separating and you blaming yourself is going to be next to nothing. Whereas if you separate at 18, they could still say, oh, that was all my fault. They put their lives on hold just because of me and waited until I was 18. I'm taking my life. It does happen. It happens. I said, I don't believe in divorce. And I said, the people who wait till 18, I give them a pass. But it is a very skeptical pass because the children still commit suicide. And for those who are thinking to themselves, well, that's no longer my fault. Yes, it is your fault. This is your flesh and blood you were talking about. 18 is not the super adult that you think it is. And frankly, I don't believe in people giving up their children to go fight wars. There hasn't been a war to actually defend the Constitution of the United States since the Civil War? None of that. Do you know that World War II was already won before we even got into the war? So no, we were not defending the Constitution or anything. They wanted the United States to get in it, and we kept saying no. We had the right president up until we had the wrong president. Then we got into it. Our Marines and Air Force and Army and Navy have not been fighting to defend the Constitution since the Civil War. To even make America, we were on the offensive. We slaughtered Indians. I'm saying we like I'm not black or something. Yeah, you know our story. Personally, my family wasn't ever involved in slavery, but I can relate to other black people who did have slavery in their ancestry. So so on that note, any reparations videos that you hear me talking about, I'm talking about for other people. I'm not talking about my family wouldn't be qualified. 18 is not a good. Now, let's get into it about the people who actually get divorced and they have children. Children. Those children suffer all sorts of internal strife. Anything that you can talk about internally, that's what the study said that they suffer from. The children of single moms suffer from external things, except for the molestation, which the single mom is the women in general, but single moms in particular are the highest culprit predators of all children who are molested. They are more than likely molested by a single mom, number one. Number two, a woman, because women have more contact with children than men. Now, I don't know if that woman is the mom in a married relationship or a daycare woman or a nurse or something, or a doctor. You know, women can be doctors now. But number two is women in general. For whatever reason, the feminists don't want that information to come out. And they have done everything to try and erase that stat completely. Now, divorcing while you have children. Can I plead with you, unless there is some sort of abuse going on by the husband, or for that matter, by you, the woman. Yes, women abuse men too. You're not off the hook. I don't play this game of I have a gender agenda, and I'm not going to tell women that they aren't the abusers. You are the abusers just as much as men in any and even more so when you get with women on women. Another stat that the feminists like to hide. So it's unless it's that, and then you can go to the police and have your marriage completely dissolved and everything. You don't have to go to quote unquote divorce, and then you really can't explain. You know, more than likely, those children are probably more robust than the children who are just, your husband doesn't buy you enough purses and mink coats, and so you're getting the divorce. Those children have no clue what's going on, and for all they know, it's their fault. If you're going along and all of a sudden you just get a divorce, the child is not equipped to handle that. Suicide is coming up. But for the children in an abusive relationship, parents, mom and dad, they have some sort of logic that goes along. Oh, good, bad is going on in my house. They're divorced. Okay, good. Oh, we got some peace. Cool. But for those that's not the case, and we've grown apart. You've grown apart? You got married. You're not on a road trip with somebody. And that gets down to my one single point. Expectations in marriage. Hollywood, feminists, women's magazines, they all tell you to have unrealistic expectations. And they repeat this over and over and over and over and over and over and over. So you have women who get married for life, right? And they go, oh, you know what? He just never listens to me. I'm getting a divorce. We've grown apart. I'm getting a divorce. That is unrealistic expectations. We argue all the time. I'm getting a divorce. Unrealistic expectations. Oh, really? You think I'm being harsh? You think I'm being too strict? I'm being very strict. It's because of the way you all treat marriage now that we have these outside people going, well, we want to get married too. We love each other. We want to get married too. When none of you, in my opinion, has any concept of what marriage is. Oh, now you're going to say, you're not married. You don't. Yes, you know what? I'm not married. But I bet you I have sat down, written papers, written essays, written studies about marriage more than you. I've given marriage a lot of thought. How much thought did you give marriage before you jumped into a church and put a ring on your finger? Did you look at the 5-year goal? Did you have a 10-year goal, a 15-year goal, a 20-year goal, a kid goal, an adult kid goal? Have you written up your will and included your spouse in it? Have you written up a trust and included your spouse and your children in it? How much thought did you give to it? He looks at other women, I'm getting a divorce. And there are some people, you know what, I give a pass to people who are actually, have infidelity. I give you a pass for that because I disagree with infidelity completely. I'm not for that. I believe if you get married, that's the person for the rest of your life. You can't touch another person, man, woman, dog, or sheep, goat, or whatever. Just your wife or just your husband. But there are other people even more strict than I am who say, no, I got married. That includes working through infidelity. Call me crazy, but after they dealt with it, the man or the woman never cheated again, never. Obviously, cheating isn't something physical, it's something emotional and mental. I disagree with it because I think it's, in my opinion, even knowing this, I still think it's something physical. That some man physically attracted you or some woman physically attracted you. But they say, no, it's not physical, it's emotional. And the whole reason why cheating even happens is because the person that they're with isn't doing their job, isn't doing their part. And I know a lot of women are gonna reel and get mad at that. But I'm telling you what women have said. Female psychologists, female psychiatrists have said. Female sociologists, people who have studied social engineering far more than I have. And nearly half of my degree was in psychology and mind stuff like logic. But if they say it's emotional and mental, I even read a book on just that topic, that cheating is mental. And they very meekly put out their book and very meekly went on tour to promote their book because they know that people, aren't treated as adults these days. And if the news say, in the magazines and the movies and commercials and TV shows all say it's a physical thing that the woman walked in and he just couldn't handle it, and he just threw himself on her and they went off into the night and had their affair. They really hate that some female psychologist or psychiatrist comes along and says, no, she didn't walk into the bar and he saw her and they fell passionately in love for a night or two. She walked into the bar and his brain said, you know what, I've been really meaning to have sex for, about a year now, and your wife is not giving it to me. Hey, there's a girl, she looks ready, let's go. And women don't want to hear this, but there is a duty. I know a lot of people don't follow the Bible, but the Bible itself says a wife has a duty and a husband has a duty. What are you going to expect if you have these wrong expectations of what marriage is, and you say to yourself, well, I'm not going to have sex with him for a year, and you do it, you're no longer married. You're two people living in a house, because a married person doesn't do that. What does the Bible say? And the two shall become one flesh. Meaning, he has a say over your body, and you have a say over his body. Fidelity is the whole notion of that your body is his and his body is yours. That's what fidelity actually means. You can't give away your body to somebody else when you're married, because your body belongs to your spouse. There's so many people that, oh, we have an open relationship. You have nothing, because your brain psychologically is going like, this person does not matter. But you're married. No, we're not married. Open relationship means the other person doesn't matter. When you grow up, mature, and actually understand what marriage really is, that's when you'll understand fidelity. So cheating on your spouse is very bad. So what am I getting into this? That's all a part of the erroneous expectation in marriage. You don't know what to expect from a marriage. You don't know your responsibilities, so you go out and cheat. And the ramifications is you get a divorce, and then your children are screwed up. That's just the reality of the situation. I would like it. I don't know if anything that I've said has hit home with you, has opened up a new door to you, a new door of understanding about marriage in general. Marriage is not, ooh, I really like him. Ooh, I really like her. That's not marriage. That's why I disagree with all of these extra people trying to say that they're going to get married. That's not marriage. That has nothing to do with marriage. And I've said it before. So let me be clear. A lot of quote unquote straight people erroneously get quote unquote married. In my eyes, a lot of you aren't married. You're just two people having sex and messing up children's lives. If marriage is all it is to you is physical, no wonder you're getting a divorce in such numbers. No wonder your children are committing suicide. You have absolutely no concept of what marriage is. How would it be different if I was your father and on the other side, his father had the opinion that marriage means our two families are now going to be eternally linked throughout time because you, my daughter, and he, my son-in-law, are now linked together, married, and you have a child, and you have children, and our family line is now joined together, and the children have children, and they have children, so on and so on. And throughout time, our families are now forever linked. That's marriage. This whole, she has pretty eyes, I think I'm gonna put a ring on her finger, or he has a nice tush, I think I'd like to walk down the aisle with him. That's not marriage. You have an immature concept of what marriage is to begin with. I declare most of you not married. And that's why I say you should not marry someone whose family hates you. Why? Because now you're eternally linked to people that hate you. Well, you can't help who you love. Kid, there's no such thing as love. Get out of here. That's a Hollywood invention. Seriously, it's a romantic invention by authors during the 1800s or 1700s sometime. It didn't exist before. Literally, and I know you think, oh, that's old-fashioned. Two men got together and said, hey, why don't we join together? I have a daughter. I have a son. Do you have a daughter or son? Yeah, okay, okay, business deal. Now, we two are now, both families are now enriched. And we together are now just as powerful as Duke such and so up on the hill. He now has to come to us to get bread to feed the village. That's marriage. You know, animals don't get quote unquote married. Your concept of marriage is immature. The whole idea that marriage is something romantic. If anything, romance should be the cherry on top. There are couples who had many children who hardly spoke to each other but never got a divorce, were never quote unquote unhappy. They just weren't quote unquote in love. Consider it. Watch this video if you need to. Show it to friends that you think might need it. Thank you for watching Share My Life Show.